Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
And top of the morning to you. This is Newsline. Indeed, top of the week to you. This is Newsline. We're broadcasting live from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo, albeit in another studio, but the other one's still being constructed. Now then, the Prime Minister's speech. That's what we're going to discuss this morning, and what better person than Mr. Rusiripala Tennakoon, a former banker and a vociferous activist for all things good in terms of good governance. He's right here in the studio with us. Very good morning to you, Mr. Rusiripala.
Good morning, Faraz.
Did you stay up late last night?
Yes.
You did. I hope you watched the wonderful performance by the English cricket team.
Yes.
It was absolutely wonderful. The home of cricket, they finally won the World Cup yesterday.
Yeah.
And it was an excellent performance, although some people say that they ought to have shared the trophy. I don't see why they ought to have. But it was a wonderful thing for Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka felt part of that proceedings yesterday. Do you know why?
Yeah.
Because we had one umpire from Sri Lanka.
Yes.
We had the third match, the match referee from Sri Lanka, and also we had the president of MCC. He's a good homegrown candy boy.
His first assignment.
Kumar Sangakkara. Isn't that wonderful that he was there as well?
Yeah.
So there you are. Well done to all those people who played. It was the way they played the game that matters. Now, Mr. Rusiripala, is this government playing the game properly? What about you're here to tell me about the various ramifications and meanings, reading between the lines. Admiral Vijay Gunaratne wrote that book, Reading Between the Lines. But what do you read between the lines about the Prime Minister's speech?
There are several things for us. Apart from, besides the hilarious, comical, entertaining presentation by the Prime Minister, which was rather short of our expectations on a matter of national importance and concerned by almost every sector of the society, his presentation, his speech reminded me of the speech he made on the 17th of March 2015 following the bond scam.
You draw conclusions with that?
You see, it automatically brought to my mind the way how he presented matters then, absolving Arjuna Mahendran, ridiculing the parliamentarians who did not know what a bond thing was, bond transaction was, comparing it to James Bond. I mean, that it reminds me, because actually when a matter of this importance, concerning the sovereignty, a threat to the sovereignty of the country, whether the concern is correct or not, whether it is backed by reasons or otherwise, it is the duty of the responsible people in the government to clear the air in a very important manner. True that, you know, in a parliament speech, one or two phrases here and there you refer to comical and to become, you know, make it hilarious.
But not when it is, this seems to be a habit. When it's a matter of utmost seriousness, like the bond matter, come on, he made a joke of it.
So I really want to express my views about that one first, because we expect in this country the authorities at the highest level to be serious about their presentations, to respect the views of the public, to respect the views of the parliament, to respect the views of the whole world on about this matter. So therefore, to that extent, I am disappointed, Faraz. I am disappointed because we reading between lines, his speech goes. There are several contradictions. It was for the purpose of clarifying certain matters, doubts that prevailed about the issue. But how we ended up was, we are full of controversies now, more controversies, more differences, more opinions, more suspicions, more doubts. So this is the reason. I mean, this should not be the purpose of a parliament debate. And then, I mean, referring to the parliament debate for Faraz, was it a no confidence motion or was it an adjournment motion? Because, you know, the parliament bell had to be rung several times for want of quorum. People were not interested. They came at the time of voting, some did not come. And then this is how it went. What is important in a no confidence motion is not the questions and answers. What the parliamentarians have to present as their views related to the issue, you know, which brings a whole lot of information to the public, to the country, to everybody in this debate. It was confined to the questions and answers. It was virtually like an adjournment debate where some questions were asked and half-truths, concealed information, you know, this is the way how it was answered. I don't know whether it served the purpose of the people.
What specifically have you? I see you've made copious notes here.
Yes.
What specifically shall we do one at a time? What do you think was the main departure from there?
No, I would like to refer to now the questions were based on three agreements that are being discussed in the country. The first one is the AXA agreement. Second one is the SOFA. Third one is the Millennium Challenge Cooperation Act. The compact. So these were the three concerns. Now, the way how the Prime Minister, let us see how the Prime Minister dealt with all this. Now, with regard to SOFA, his position was, we have no SOFA agreement other than the one that was signed during the tenure of the presidency of Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga when she was the president. There was a SOFA signed, and he referred to the dates, 1995.
Why was that signed?
That's the thing. Now, this is where a debate becomes very important for us. SOFAs are signed for very many purposes. Sometimes a SOFA agreement is signed only for a specific event, covering a specific event. So what is important is during the course of the debate, the parliamentarians should refer to the references, the passing references made by the Prime Minister, you know, about these agreements, about the SOFA. He merely said, yes, there was a SOFA in 1995. We don't have a SOFA now. He made it at one point. I mean, his speech was full of contradictions. He first said there is no SOFA, there is nothing in the offing. Nothing in the offing. But absolutely that is wrong, no. He himself during the course of his speech latterly, on the latter part, he said, no, there are certain suggestions made to which we do not agree in the draft. So he says nothing in the offing, and in the same speech he refers to a draft. Now, how can this be, Faraz?
So that means there is a draft, there is something in the offing, and so he ought to have been. Mr. Rusiripala, why is it that, why can't we have the draft tabled in Parliament? Because there's no point tabling the finished product, because then there's no input possible. That's not democracy in my mind.
No, Faraz, clearing the air related to an issue on which the concerns have been expressed, in this instance, by the Mahanayakas of this country, the highest Catholic,
the clergy,
clergy here, by the Reverend Cardinal, and I mean, to that extent, the whole country is concerned about these agreements, and they do not want the American forces, the military, to come and occupy our land. Now, true. He says that in 1995 there was a SOFA. Did you and I see any military American US forces carrying their weapons and in their uniforms going about in this country?
No.
Did you?
I can honestly say that I don't remember seeing any such thing.
I do not recollect any such. So what does it mean?
Why was that 95 signed then?
True, there has been a SOFA, but it could have been short of all these other doubts and suspicions expressed about it.
Was that to do with the VOA, the Voice of America?
Of course, yes. You know, that is why I said SOFAs are signed for specific purposes, and therefore, when it deals with one aspect that covers the area, that it is included in the agreement, I mean, it doesn't cause any problem because you are clear, you are specific, you know exactly what it is for.
So you know where you stand, basically.
Where you stand.
Which is what everybody wants to know.
And
everyone wants to know where you stand.
What
it is.
What we don't want to see happening in this country for us is, we don't want to see the American military personnel, forces, walking about freely with their own licenses, driving around, carrying arms, wearing uniforms, and being freed from the jurisdiction of this country. I mean, let us confine it to that. We don't want that to happen. So, what we needed an explanation was in regard to those aspects of the matter.
Right.
Now, but did he say that? Now, he failed to completely disclose a very relevant issue in this regard.
Which is?
In 1995, true that this country signed a SOFA agreement, but we did not see any disadvantageous positions arising out of it visible to us. But in 1996, this country, the Parliament, passed an act. The Parliament, the Privileges Act, Diplomatic Privileges Act number 9.
The Diplomatic Privileges Act. Yeah.
Now, in 1996, what made them pass that act? Even if there was a clause in the SOFA that they signed in 1995, which sort of violated or went above or beyond the Vienna Convention provisions that are afforded for the diplomatic privileges to be afforded to the diplomatic mission personnel. If there's any extension of that facility to somebody other than the diplomatic mission, this government, this Sri Lankan government took care of that by passing this act.
And it is this very aspect of this this act, the Diplomatic Privileges Act of 1996. This is the bit that Tilak Marapana was to bring up in his discussions in Washington recently.
Not was to bring up.
He did bring it.
From what is reported, he did bring it. And he specifically referred. He specifically referred on the referred to, according to the reported information we have, about this impossibility of granting jurisdiction to US personnel because of this act.
Right.
He cited the act. I mean, he's a lawyer, eminent lawyer at that, you know, with all his loyalties to the government and the party. You see, he stood by the legal part of it, which is very commendable. He did it, and he mentioned that in the course of the discussion, you know where the discussion was? The discussion was at the third partnership dialogue. And the third, I mean, if I expected the Prime Minister to even make reference to the third partnership dialogue that they had in March 16th, May 16th to 17th in Washington, with the participation of our foreign minister. And also there was a joint communique that was issued after the dialogue. I mean, these are the relevant issues that a parliament should raise, no? What is included in that joint statement? The joint statement, if somebody refers to that, will clearly indicate that the military relationship between the two countries was one of the main concerns in that dialogue. And the joint, I went through the joint statement, made by the made by the parties to the third partnership dialogue in Washington.
Right. And what did they say?
It clearly says that one of the major concerns was the security of the country vis-a-vis, you know, the attacks and various other things that took place. The ISI, supposed to be ISIS attack and terrorist attack, that kind of thing. And the freedom for the naval forces to have in this region. So those were the main concerns in the dialogue.
Yeah.
And in that forum, it was raised by this country as the representative who participated on behalf of the country. He raised this relevant issue saying that we are unable to extend jurisdiction powers to anybody other than the diplomatic mission persons because of an act that has been passed in parliament and which is in force in the country.
Right.
Now, the Prime Minister was careful enough to say that the 1995 SOFA is in force. Now, I have a question. If I was a parliamentarian, I should have asked him whether the subsequent Privileges Act that was passed has anything to do with the 1995 SOFA agreement, whether it has any effect on it.
Right.
I mean, those are the issues that a parliament should resolve.
Yeah.
Asking a question like some, the schoolboy is asking the principal, the teacher, class teacher, and then getting an answer. That's not what we expect.
That's
There are
right.
so many things like this. And with his hilarious presentations, the Prime Minister evaded the most important, relevant issues surrounded in this issue.
Which is the granting of diplomatic privileges to the visiting forces.
Yeah, not only that, the validity of the agreement, for how long the 1995 agreement was valid, what was it for?
What would you, as citizen Rusiripala, what would you like, what would citizen Rusiripala like to see? Do you want to see them table the drafts that are under discussion, the letter? Before all that, who wanted a new SOFA?
Exactly, Faraz. The question is, the Prime Minister says we have nothing in the offing. We don't have a SOFA. He even went
So
to
who made this draft up? Was it
wa-
Sagal who made it up overnight?
he went to the extent of stating, I asked my secretary to find out whether anything was presented to the cabinet or cabinet paper was done. They denied. So therefore, they are nothing of the sort. They make a goni bill. He was referring to this, like the James Bond. They make a goni bill. Actually, most certainly, apart the hilarious references, this is definitely worse than a goni bill for this country. Because if at some stage as a result of this agreement, under whatever context, if American forces are going to move about freely in this country in their uniforms, in their carrying arms, going about with a license issued by the United States government, driving around, entering the country with an identity card, going out from the country at any time they like without passports and with only identity card. I mean, these are concerns for us. To that extent, we feel there is a threat to our sovereignty. He can say there is no threat, we are not going to do anything against the sovereignty. He can't do. There are certain things that prevent, even if he wants, the government wants, to extend certain facilities, rights and privileges to any party, which goes beyond the sovereignty coverage that we have. I mean, there are certain things in the Constitution that prevent them from doing it. For example, Section 13(6) of the Constitution, which clearly refers to the jurisdiction, whether any offense, if it is a criminal offense, whatever the other things that concern that issue is or are, if the crime is something that has been defined by the United Nations as accepted as a criminal offense, then beyond all agreements, the country and the Constitution has the power to sue such things, sue such persons.
Right.
13(6) very clearly says. So, these are the concerns that the Parliament should have addressed. Unfortunately, this question and answer session did not bring to light any of these things. I am very disappointed about the manner in which the Parliament, it is not the question as to who brought this issue. True that, maybe for their own reasons they found 6 questions and they put forward the 6 questions and they got answers to it.
Yeah.
Is that the end of the matter? Aren't these people, aren't their, isn't their conscience, trouble them to find out exactly what is happening?
Conscience. Conscience. That would be a fine thing if they had the conscience. Now then, what about this MCC, the Millennium Challenge Compact? Why is it that all of a sudden, all these years, the US aid to Sri Lanka has just been, not anything spectacular, not to sound ungrateful, but all of a sudden you find them giving you $480 million.
Faraz, Millennium Challenge Cooperation Compact affair itself is a matter that this parliament should have debated at length. You know, this did not start with this 480 million grant that they are proposing. This started in December 2016. It is only in 2016 that the American-backed MCC decided to include Sri Lanka as a country that is eligible to get grants from their concern. In 2016 December.
Yeah.
In 2017, the government of Sri Lanka completed a study and identification of the constraints that were pointed out by the MCC as that which stood against or which prevented private sector development, growth in this country. Now see the relationship of these things. Now the government, the MCC identifies Sri Lanka as an eligible country. Sri Lanka identifies the constraints that the private sector growth is faced with, and they report it to the MCC. Then in 2017 December, MCC reselect Sri Lanka. They reselect. Earlier, although they identified, they did not select. Once you identify the constraints and say, yes, we have identified, we are going to do this, you are reselected for this grant. So 2017, MCC reselects to Sri Lanka to continue with the development assistance under a compact. Then in August 2018, MCC informs the US Congress. Now this has to be endorsed by the US Congress. Definitely the American government is fully involved to the hilt.
This is theirs.
In these affairs, you see, and the Congress has to approve it. And in 2018, the Congress endorsed the negotiations with regard to a compact with Sri Lanka. And in April 2019, just after the ISIS attack, MCC approved the $480 million US grant for this country, specifically for 2 identified reasons. Now the Prime Minister in his speech says, in the Parliament, the speech that you referred to,
the Prime Minister
they are granting us assistance to things that we asked. I want to ask a question. Did we ask specifically, did we refer the areas where we want assistance from the MCC? Or did they author it and decide on it as to what are the areas under which we are going to give grants to Sri Lanka? Because it appears to me very strange. You are gum at the program, you go right around the country giving water to people, giving shelter to people.
We don't go and give them. We ask them first what they want and what they need.
I know. You identify roads, bridges, culverts. This country is full of priority needs, a series of things where, as humanitarian requirements, which needs the highest order of priority in any governance, under any governance. You see, if there is a reasonable government in power, the first thing that they should address is, how are the citizens in this country living? Are their living standards basic, or they fulfill the basic requirements? Now, the assistance that the MCC is giving, coming back to this, for 2 projects. One is a transport project. Starting from the center of the region, central region of the country, covering all the market areas and the ports. They want clearance. They want to have free road access. Very good thing. But something that we need in 2025 or 2050 need not be coming, replacing the more human requirements that are affecting the society today.
Right now.
Right now, immediately. This is my point. And the second thing that they are giving is, you know, if I am to read it, it is very nice, it is very interesting. I noted it from their minutes. Land project is to increase information about land availability in order to increase land market activity. Now, the United States is worried about our land market activities. And it goes on to say, to increase the tenure, security and tradability of land.
I think the key word here is tradability.
Tradability of land for smallholders and firms through policy and legal reforms. Now you can see, MCC is not signed. Prime Minister is right. But what we promised under the MCC are being implemented here. The land grant bill that is just before the parliament to be debated. They are going ahead with this. These are the areas that the parliamentarians should have been concerned. When you ask that question from the Prime Minister about an MCC agreement, they must ask, who presented the requirements for development purposes to the MCC? Was it the government? Was it under a national plan, policy plan? Did it emanate from some economic development plan that we had in place? Parliament was dumb about it. I should say, we are sorry to have a parliament like this. Besides what the Prime Minister said, of course, I don't have to say.
Yeah.
That goes without saying. But this parliament, they should have addressed all these issues. And you know, this MCC, there is a queer, strange manner in which this MCC is behaving towards our country. In October 2018, they decided to suspend all assistance and grants and concerns and the ongoing discussions because Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe was removed from his premier position. And in 2018 December, they met again and decided to reverse that decision because Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe was posted back to his position.
So now, this 480 million is directly involved with
480 million came later.
Yeah.
Even the concern to address the issues regarding Sri Lanka was deferred. I mean, is it a personal thing for us? Democracy of this country is decided by the laws of this country, the people of this country, not America. So we will decide who the Prime Minister should be according to the Constitution. If the constitutional position is wrong, our courts will decide it.
Indeed.
We don't want the donors and the grantors of assistance to decide, to pass criteria as to who should be at the helm to get their grants. We must decide.
The people of this country.
People of this country. And these are the issues that the parliament of this country should address. I am very sorry to say, we are in the dark.
Rusiripala Tennakoon, many thanks for being on Newsline this morning. It's been food for thought, and thank you. And we will continue the debate, I'm sure will rage, as long as... but very quickly, can you very quickly tell me, because somebody's asking the question, was there a Sinhalese translation? Or is there, I mean, because I'm sure the Americans don't provide translations.
No, never. We never had anything like that. We never had anything tabled before the parliament. We never had any information that is given to the parliament. And even the answers to these selected questions, you know, within the selected framework were given evasively as much as possible, giving the least possible information.
Wonderful. Thank you for that clarification. And that's the way it was on Newsline this wet morning. Do take care while you're out on the roads, and enjoy a great week, safe and super week ahead. Take care, and of course, God bless.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.